Hello, everyone. This is Brandon K. Hedgepeth, and I just want to welcome you all here to episode 10 of the Tansson Talks show. I'm just so excited to be here with you all today. And so, for this episode, please welcome my amazing guest here today, Taylor Ann Carpenter. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to have you here today. And so, first of all, how are you doing here today?
Pretty good. Been busy, doing all the things, but I've been looking forward to this all week, so I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, and I'm excited to have you here. I've also been looking forward to this all week, and I'm excited to get started here today.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. And so before we get started, I definitely did want to take a moment for you to go ahead and introduce yourself for the watching and listening audience here today.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Ann Carpenter. I am a first semester senior at the University of Memphis. I study public relations with a minor in journalism and a concentration in strategic social media. I am the director of events and programming for PRSSA, so the Public Relations Student Society of America. And I also work as the social media editor for our school paper, The Daily Helmsman. And I also actually host my own podcast that details life as a 20-something. It's called Nothing But Everything. And that's basically me in a nutshell.
Well, I'm just so excited to get into this. And so I guess I'll start off with what you just mentioned with you being the host and creator of your podcast. So are you able to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I guess I'll just start at the beginning. I took a podcasting class last semester as part of my journalism elective classes that I had to take. And it was all about podcasting. So we learned about how to market a podcast and how to create one and where you could host a podcast, all sorts of things. And our final was to create a 15-minute episode of a podcast that we created. So we spent the whole semester, coming up with our ideas and coming up with like who we are, what we were going to talk about, designing cover art, all the nitty gritty that comes with creating a podcast. And I just had so much fun doing that I decided I was just going to, post it on Spotify and Apple Music and, maybe see where it goes. Well, I had so much fun doing that I decided to continue. So as of, I guess, probably December 15th, I have had the podcast called Nothing But Everything. And it's basically where I talk about my life as a 20-something, the good things, the bad things. I think we're in an interesting stage of life. And if I can just, provide a little bit of ease and comfort, whether it's, giving advice or just telling somebody that they're not alone in the difficult things of being an adult, as being a college student, of, just trying to navigate the real world. That's what I want to do. I just want to put a smile on people's faces and just make them feel a little bit better about themselves. So I started my podcast and I just talk about nothing but everything, literally anything in between, something super important, something silly, whatever. I talk about it, and just to hope that people will smile and have a good time and enjoy listening and just feel comforted by my podcast. It streams on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, all the places, and it's linked in my bio on Instagram and I believe Twitter, but mainly Instagram. I know for sure there. But that's my podcast. So
that's really interesting that it started off with a podcasting class. And so did you know anything about podcasting starting off with the class?
So I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time. I have been since I was probably 15 or 16 years old. So that's why I took the classes, because I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I probably won't be any good at it, but I like to listen to them. So maybe you learn a few things. I know like kind of how it works, but I didn't, really understand the nuts and bolts and understand all that went into creating a podcast. So no, I really didn't know much. I just knew I liked to listen to them and knew it might be something interesting for me to do. So that's really how it started.
Wow. But the fact though that you were able to take what you learned in the class, like it so much that you were able to do it, pursue it, and and that you're still going strong and active with it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely being a full-time student has had its challenges, keeping up with podcasts. I know just how it gets to be difficult to, create episodes or set up interviews. I don't do many interviews on mine, but I've played with the idea of having guests, but it's just been difficult to get everybody coordinated. That, and just finding time to record and edit and do all the things. But I try to post at least once a month. Hope my goal is twice a month, every other week, but the semester gets crazy, so sometimes that doesn't happen. But I love to, take what I've learned in class and be hands-on and apply it to my life outside of college and outside of class. And that's one of the great things about being in college and being a 20 something is that I have the opportunity to experience all these kinds of things and find things that I really love to do and things that I'm really passionate about. And for me, that's podcasting. So
I absolutely love that. And yeah, I 100% relate as a 20 something, myself, well, I guess just 20, but, doing, doing podcasting, especially with trying to figure out everyone's schedule and coordination to yours, especially when you don't have a really set schedule yourself and people are asking you for dates and it's like, I don't even know, just pick a date.
I know, I guess we're all just in this time of life where basically every week is a different week, even though, you might have a class from 9:20 to 11:40 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then two classes back to back on Tuesday, Thursday, starting at 12. But like your mornings aren't going to be the same and your evenings aren't going to be the same. And it's just, there's nothing really set in stone at this time of life. So it's been, even just for myself and recording, it's like, when do I find time to write my script or brainstorm ideas or market my podcast? Um, it's been difficult, but it's been so fun, and I really just enjoy doing it. It's not even that, I want to be like a famous podcaster or anything. It's just a hobby. It's something that I enjoy to do, and I like to help other people. And if I can do that through podcasting, I'd love to do that.
I just really love that sentiment. And for me, it's the same way. And that, I just love being able to help out others in any way that I can. And if podcasting is the way to do it, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, just, being able to relate to other people, make them feel less alone, put a smile on their face, tell them a story that, might have been embarrassing for me, but makes them feel a little less bad about themselves or a little bit better than how they were, just something to be somewhat uplifting, because our life can get crazy. We can get bogged down by just everything going on, whether that's school, current events, family problems, mental health, whatever it is. I just like to be a little bit of light, shed a little bit of light on the situation and bring a little hope or a little laughter, whatever it is.
I really just like the way that you put that. And are you able to tell us a little bit about some of the, I guess the 20 something ideas that, that you have really put out there in your podcast?
So it started off with the episode I did for a grade for class was called Being an Introvert in an Extrovert's World. So most people will not believe this because I am really good at putting on a smile and talking and chit-chatting, but I'm an introvert. To be 1,000% honest, after this call, I will probably take time for myself and maybe not talk to anybody for a good 3 or 4 hours at least. Usually when I'm, super busy and I'm in class all day, I spend like most of my evenings by myself because that's my time to recharge. So that episode just talked about, the misconceptions of introverts and extroverts, what they truly are, and how an introvert can make space for themselves and how an extrovert can help their introvert friends and make sure that they're feeling seen, feeling heard. So most of my podcasts do have like a layout of, let me educate you so we're all on the same page, and then let's solve a problem, or here's an antidote for you. Let's, see what we can do to help each other, because I believe that we need other people. Whether you want help or not, you're going to need the help at some point. And whether you like it or not, you're going to have help at some point. And so if we can just help each other and, just, care for one another, I think it helps make the world go round a little bit if we are considerate and care for other people. So that was my very first episode, was talking about my introvertism and kind of the things that I've had to struggle with being an introvert and being a talkative introvert. Because everybody's like, there's no way you're an introvert. You're social and you like to smile and you're happy. But that's not what being an introvert is. It's somebody who is reserved and might be reserved, not always, but the core of being an introvert and extrovert is where you get your energy from. And so introverts get it from time alone, time to rest and recharge. Extroverts get their energy from being with people and talking and being social. So that doesn't mean that introverts can't be social, and it doesn't mean that extroverts can't value time to themselves. So that was what my first episode was. And then I've done lots of different things. My latest episode was about burnout. So it's called Combating Burnout. And I did this episode because I was honestly experiencing burnout, and I needed to figure out how I could, get myself back together and, make it to spring break, which I did. Woohoo. But now we're back into school. So it was just kind of ways to take care of myself and understand just, the problems of working too much or being emotionally exhausted, and then kind of ways I can care for myself without having to, just drop everything. So my episodes range from all sorts of topics. I will let you guys in on a little secret. My next episode is about Women's History Month. It'll be released sometime next week. I think Thursday is what I'm shooting for, but life happens. So I never say anything set in stone. But it's about Women's History Month, and I'm talking about 4 women that I think we should be talking about more, some of which we do. But I don't know if you're familiar. Each year, the National Women's History Alliance, I think is their full name, they come up with a theme. And this year's theme is women who are storytellers. So I talked all about women who are storytellers. So that ranges from podcasting, that ranges from, filmmakers, actors, singers, journalists. So I tried to, just find some women that I'm really inspired by in that kind of field, or that fit into that theme, and talk about them. And then I will round out the episode by talking about honoring women in our lives, kind of ways we can do that, and what it means to be a storyteller. And then also just how, as a woman, I can, make history or make a difference in the world. So just a little bit about my show and my current episodes that I've got going. So yeah.
That is really great to hear. And so for me, what's so interesting, though, is even being a podcaster who's been doing this for years, it sort of shocks some people when I mention that I barely listen to, to podcasts, or even, for that matter, even watch YouTube, even having done YouTube, just because, I think a part of the reason is, as a 20-something, it's just like there's not enough time in the world to do a bit of everything. But earlier in this week, I actually binge listened to all of your episodes, and I have absolutely loved every moment of it.
Thank you so much. Oh, that just made my day. I love doing it, and I just love to help other people and maybe have a little bit of enjoyment if they can. So thank you so much. That means a lot.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I just really like the way that you do your format and everything. And, when I got to the end, I was like, oh, this is it? It's like, I can't wait for the next one.
Thank you. It's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute, just with spring break and midterms and everything. I just have not had that time to sit down and, get it going. And my episodes in particular, especially this one, have involved a lot of research, which I like to research, so I'm not complaining. It just takes a little bit more time than writing what's in my head. I have to, check my facts and, make sure what I'm saying is the truth. That's really important to me, is making sure what I'm putting out there is good, accurate information. And so it takes a little bit of time, but I like to keep up with it best I can. And do what I can. So thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, and I like that, how you just mentioned that you do your research, which as a self-described research enthusiast, I'm glad that you definitely put that time in, and that for you sticking with the truth, definitely like one of the key aspects of journalism right there.
Yes. I mean, I know you know this, but our field is, we're storytellers and we're supposed to be telling those stories, but we've got ethics, we've got values that we're supposed to uphold. And whether it's PR or journalism, both is truth, both and both require lots of research. And I think it's fitting for my podcast to have both the desire for truth and research that comes with that. So.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And for me, first of all, like I said, I really enjoyed each of your episodes, and I don't really have favorites per se. Like, I don't know. I change my favorites like sort of like every time that you ask, but I would have to say the one I really fell in love with though is your very first one about about being a introvert, especially in your 20 somethings. For me, as myself as an introvert, I 100% related to, especially in regards to sometimes people not even believing it when you say it. It's just like, yeah, like, and when you said, mentioned earlier, it's like for me, it's like, I do my podcast, I record it, and then it's like afterwards, it's like I need to like distance myself from everything for a few hours, and I'll come back to it later.
Be a hermit, curl up in the corner of my room and make sure nobody talks to me for a few hours. That's how it is. But I mean, I run into people all the time, and somehow it comes up in conversation that I am a self-proclaimed introvert, and they're like, definitely not. I'm like, you are wrong, because I love people and I love to be personable and make relationships and form connections with people, but I also have my limits, and those limits come a lot quicker for me than they do for people who are generally an extrovert. But I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was the hope of that episode, was that other introverts feel seen, because I feel like it's not talked about a lot. We're just seen as a very particular stereotype. I mean, I talk about it in the episode a little bit, whether it's like we have social anxiety, or we're really awkward, or we are really depressed or emo, or, dark people, silly things that aren't true. And so I just wanted other introverts to feel like somebody actually understands what they're going through, or somebody actually understands how they feel.
Yeah, and to add on to that, first of all, there's about 1 or 2 episodes of mine that I think that you would really relate to in regards to that. I'll have to send you, those later.
But do that for sure.
Yeah, I definitely will. And I like how you include media examples with that too, especially how you mentioned that a lot of times in movies and TV shows, the character like starts off maybe introvert or shy or whatever the case may be, and then all of a sudden by the end they learn, we need to be extrovert to live our lives, when that's not how that works.
It's not how that works. And there are so many, if you just, look into it a little bit, Google like famous introverts, you see a huge list of people who have accomplished so many great things, have really made an impact on our world, whether that's through television, through science, through music, whatever it is, but they are deemed an introvert. And you would never think that, because we've got like a misconception about what introverts are. And so I guess I kind of started feeling, like I was like a stereotype, like the stereotypes of, introverts and extroverts, through watching all that, TV and music and media, and seeing all these people that are extroverts because that's what I was told that they were, and thinking, oh, I'm not like them, so I can't be successful, or I can't accomplish this, or I can't do that. And that's just simply not the case, or that extrovertism is way better than introvertism, because, I just think of a particular like Disney movie where they did like a whole makeover and the girl becomes an extrovert and she's living her best life. And I'm like, oh, so I can't have a great life and I can't have fun if I'm not extroverted? that doesn't make sense to me. So I definitely wanted to include that in that episode, and I thought that I could have spent so much longer on that, but for the sake of time, I had to put a pause on that and tell my listeners that this is not the case. Just trust me on that. So
Yeah, like I said, we could go on for hours about this and so many of the examples. And, of course, we always would love to see like a good, accurate, introvert representation within media. Hopefully that'll come sooner as opposed to later, but we'll see.
oh, I definitely agree, and I think when I watch, when I consume media, whether that's through reading or uh, movies, whatever, I really gravitate towards the characters that are slightly more introverted, because people like to see themselves reflected, whether in art. So whether that's actual pictures or movies or whatever, they want to see themselves, and so that's why I gravitate towards introverted characters. And so having more representation in that kind of form would be really great, especially if they were a main character. I feel like our generation is always talking about being the main character, and but main characters are never introverted. That's all I'm saying. But that's not the case in real life. You can be a main character and still be introverted.
Absolutely. And continuing on though, like we said before, you're now your first semester of senior year. So first of all, congratulations on officially being a college senior.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited to be at this stage, but there's, lots of pressure still, I guess, because, I'm trying to wrap things up and, look for my last internship this summer and, look to graduation and then getting a job. And then I plan to go to grad school eventually. So just trying to, figure all that out and get all that worked out is still a lot, but I'm very excited to be here. And I really enjoyed my time at the University of Memphis. So
That is really great to hear. And so I'll actually backtrack and say, so what really made you want to go to the University of Memphis?
So I am a born and raised Memphian. I have lived here my whole life. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. I moved away in fourth grade for like 7 months. Little blip in the timeline is like what I like to call that. But I am a Memphian through and through. And when I was in high school and I was looking at colleges, I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to go far away. I'm going to be a big city girl. I'm going to, go to big school, because I went to a very small private school that not many people know of. Even in Memphis, not a lot of people know of it. And so I just, and I didn't like it. So I was like, I'm going to go far, far away. I'm going to, go away from everything, and I'm never going to stay in Memphis. And I started looking at colleges, and I had a few that I liked. But then COVID happened, and I was just like, honestly, I don't really want to go that far away during a time like this. And I want to go to grad school. I have other hopes and dreams. I want to do some traveling and all sorts of things. So why would I spend all my money on undergrad? Why would I move far away when the world is in a time of crisis? And I really liked the University of Memphis a lot more than I thought I would. To be 100% transparent, I looked at the University of Memphis as a backup school if I happened to not get into my first choices. And then somehow it just kind of became my first choice. I really liked the campus. I really liked the department, the journalism and strategic media department. I really enjoyed. They had a great music program, which I was interested in music when I first came into college. That's another story for another day. But they, it was a good school, and it was a perfect size for me. I didn't want anything too big, but I didn't want anything too small. It met all of my requirements, but I had always told myself that I was going to go far away, and that I was going to, leave behind Memphis, because Memphis is my childhood, and I was going to be an adult, and I was going to go off. But I just, I really enjoyed my tour of Memphis, and then everything with COVID happened, and then, just kind of trying to plan for my future just kind of made me realize that Memphis was a really good option for me. And then I get here, and it really was a great option for me, because I've enjoyed pretty much my whole time here. I mean, there's of course been little bumps in the road. That's just how life is. But it's been a really great experience, and it's a really great school. And I've just made so many great friends and had so many awesome experiences, like going to Icon in Dallas, which, for everybody who doesn't know, that is where Brandon and I met. Um, that's where we connected. So just getting experiences like that, I might not have gotten at a different school that I looked at. So.
Well, first of all, that's really interesting to hear, like, how, you really wanted to get, like, as far away from, from where you were as possible, that you want nothing to do with, with being there for your higher education, but yet, that it became that, your first choice. It wasn't even the, like, the backup. It was just, this is actually where I want to, to go, despite everything that you had, been saying up to that point.
I had told myself probably from the time I became a freshman in high school that I was going to go far away for college, and it would not be the University of Memphis. And people who stayed in their hometown for college were weird. Well, apparently I'm one of those weird girls now, but I don't mind. I love Memphis. I love the city. I love the university, and it's still close to my family. They now live a little further out. They moved, but I'm still close to my family, which is really important to me. And so it's all worked out for the best, despite what I initially thought. I just love how that works.
Yeah, that's always probably the best part, is just when you just give something a try. Like, you don't know how it's going to really go out. You don't know, like, is this going to be a good experience, bad experience, but you nevertheless go in for just the experience that it will be and end up enjoying it.
And whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, there's always something to gain from it. It might not be what you initially think you're going to gain. So you might go into an internship and think, this is going to be a great experience for me. I'm going to get all this work, and then I'm going to get my dream job right out of college. But then that might not happen. Might be the worst internship you've ever had. The people are mean. You hate it all. But you learned that you don't like this aspect of your job or your career field, or that you really love to work with other people and the career field you're in right now doesn't let you do that. Whatever it is, you're going to learn something from every experience, and you're going to gain something from it. And so when I go into experiences, that's how I look, that it's all going to be okay, because I will learn something and I will become a better person, or learn something about myself, or learn something about people that will benefit me in the long run.
Yeah, that is quite true. And since you mentioned internships, so what are some of the internships that you have, done during your time in undergrad?
So last summer was my first, big internship. So I said I worked for the Daily Helmsman, which is our school paper. I could technically consider that like a practicum, but I chose not to. I chose to do the University of Memphis offers it as like a practicum internship credit, but I chose to look for other internships, and I got the opportunity to work at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I don't know if you're super familiar with them, but for those of you who are not, it is a cancer research hospital for children, and they do so much great work to help, sick children with cancer, find cures to cancer, improve treatment options. And so I got a job doing digital integration there, and I worked with their department. It was a blast. I loved my experience. Everybody there was so nice. I learned so much, literally so much. I can't even like they asked me at the end of my internship, what did you learn? And I was like, what didn't I learn? It's a better question, because it was just a great experience, and it's a great work environment. And I really love their mission of helping children fight cancer. They're beginning their life. I forgot the exact wording of their mission statement, or like their tagline, but it's like helping children during the dawn of life. Like they're like just getting started, and they're helping kids, going through really, really hard things. And so just everything about it was great. The other interns were great. I'm still in touch with all of them. It was just an awesome experience. And so that's really what I've done. My big one, the one that I consider like my internship. And of course, I'm still looking for more internships and more opportunities to do as I, round up my, college career going into this summer. and then hopefully maybe an internship in the fall semester that'll help me as I look for a job come the end of the fall semester. So that's my big one. But I've applied for so many internships and gotten interviews, haven't gotten interviews, been rejected. That's just how it is. It's a whirlwind. But my time at St. Jude was amazing, and I loved working there, and would go back any day of the week. It was so fun.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, and that you really loved their mission and their core values. And so I suppose for you, like, if for you're looking for your future internships, would you do something similar, like along these lines of doing something that's really there for for the mission and helping others?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always kind of been the kind of person who cares about other people, and everything I do, I want to somehow benefit other people, somehow make a difference, whether that's behind the scenes work or, being on the front lines. Obviously, my time at St. Jude, I was not interning with doctors. I was interning in the communications department, working behind a computer at a desk all day. And you can be like, oh, you're not doing anything super important or anything that's going to impact the world. But communication is key in literally every field. How are you going to get your message out? How are you going to get more donors? How are you going to tell people that you've found this new treatment for cancer? Like, somebody's got to communicate that. And so that was part of my job. And so even though it was a teeny tiny impact, I knew that I was helping somebody in the long run in some little bitty way. So, and I feel like I've always been like that. I know I said that, but like growing up, I just remember everything I wanted to do was pretty much oriented around other people. And my internship at St. Jude just kind of helped me see that, and also see how important it was to have an internship or have a job that you align with your values and their mission statement. Because, there's that cheesy saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I got my own caveats with that. But the sentiment is, if you enjoy what you're doing, it'll make working a lot less difficult some days, because you'll enjoy what you're doing and you'll enjoy the people, you'll enjoy what you're doing, whether that's, sitting behind a desk or working on the front lines, whatever it is, you'll enjoy it in some form. So just being at St. Jude kind of helped me realize that I really enjoy working in the healthcare sector and helping other people. So I am kind of looking towards nonprofit or healthcare PR right now. I don't ever close my options and say, absolutely no, I'm not going to do this or that. But I just loved working in the healthcare sector, and I loved working. St. Jude is a nonprofit, so I also enjoyed working with nonprofit organizations, and I've worked with other nonprofits in the past doing volunteer work and all sorts of things like that. So I really enjoyed that, and that's kind of where I think my focus is now. Obviously, I'm not going to say no to any other sector of PR, but that's kind of where I've geared myself.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And overall, it sounds like it's like you're sort of, in the sense, I don't know how I'm putting this, but like almost like on a mission to help others.
Yes, I doesn't matter if we've met one time, 0 times, a million times. I care about every person, good and bad, because that's just how I am, and that's kind of in my religious beliefs and my core values as a person. Just how I was raised is just to care about other people and love other people, and serve other people. And so that's just kind of trickled down into my career and my work life. And honestly, that's kind of how I ended up in PR, was for my care for other people, because PR is a very relational field, and you have to be able to relate to other people, be able to communicate with other people, and in a sense care for other people. Because I'm actually in an ethics class right now, when we were talking about kind of the ethics of PR, and one of the things that's in the core ethics of most public relations professionals and PRSA principles of ethics is to do no harm or to do good. Those are like two of the core things that we have in our field. And those are just my personal values and my personal beliefs, is to do good and to do no harm.
Yeah, and definitely that goes with the healthcare part that you were just working with too.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and so you also mentioned in your introduction that you're also, doing, a little bit of journalism, public relations, and a little bit of everything in between. So, first of all, how would you manage the time for all of this that you're able to do?
Great question. I still don't know. I've been trying to figure it out all my life because I was so involved in middle school and high school and even elementary school. I was always doing something, and I still am. And I don't know how I do it, but I do. I Multitasking is one of my expertise, I like to say. So I don't really know how I do. I can't tell you the secret to being able to do all the things. I just sometimes it comes back to bite me in the butt. But I work really hard and I multitask and I plan my schedule very well. Optimize my time.
Yeah, optimizing time is definitely a key part of being a college student, being in your 20 somethings, and a little bit of everything in between.
Oh yes, definitely. Optimizing time is honestly the key to life, I think. The key to being able to do what you need to do and do things you want to do is being able to plan and coordinate and organize your life.
Definitely. And in terms of the multitasking, I'd always read these reports that mention how multitasking, takes us actually away from the task that we're trying to do and everything. And so one of the sayings I made up for one of my previous podcast episodes last year was just I'd like to think that I do productive multitasking where it at least somewhat comes out. Maybe not at the right time that needs to be, but close enough.
I mean, I hear you, but they say multitasking takes us away from the actual task, and I'm like, but we've just been thrown into society where we're forced to multitask. I mean, I don't know how many hours you're taking, but I'm taking 20 hours right. Actually, I'm taking 19, but basically 20 hours. And in all of my classes, I have assignments due every week, and I have projects that I have to think about, work on for multiple weeks at a time for multiple classes. I'm forced to multitask in some form or fashion. So, if they say multitasking doesn't work or isn't efficient, then maybe they should rethink how we do this. But I mean, has in the past taken me away from certain things. But if I play my cards right, if I get my life organized, or if I make a plan, write a list, whatever it is for me that works for whatever my situation is, I can manage pretty well most of the time. When I can't, though, I'm always asking for help. I did not like to ask for help for a really long time. I think I mentioned this earlier, but we're all going to need help at some point. And it was hard for me to ask for help. But I'm learning to ask for help and get help from other people and work as a team, which has been super beneficial in the multitasking, being a super busy person kind of, realm. I've been able to do more because I've asked for more help, or I've been able to delegate tasks. I said I was the event and programming director for PRSSA. And I have a committee, so when I have events to plan, I can call up my committee member and say, hey, I need you to go here and do this. I need you to call this person and make sure that they know where they're going and they don't have any questions about the event, whatever it is. Or I need you to put up this flyer on campus, because I can't do it all on my own. But I'm still multitasking, so.
Yeah, that is quite true. And yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about too, because it's sort of where in today's society, 2023, it's impossible for us to just do one task at a time. And even the idea of the go on vacation, don't check anything. I even think for me, it's like I'm a full time college student, grad student, and like and so like all of my assignments and stuff are all showing up in my email, and it's like for my work stuff, all of that stuff there. And while of course I'm not saying that vacations don't exist anymore, but it's like you can't just like turn off everything and just be there. I mean, even like for some of the
It's
stuff, like
hard.
yeah,
It's hard. It's I mean, I've part of it took me so long to get back to you for so many reasons, but I was on spring break and I had just officially said I'm not answering any emails. I don't care who needs to get in touch with me. It can wait, because I mean, you have my work email, my school email. And so pretty much everything that comes through there is school related. And I was like, it's spring break. I'm sorry, I'm not answering anybody this week. And that's just, sometimes you just got to do it, but it's still hard, and we're still multitasking even on vacation.
yeah, 100%. And I 100%, I completely get that too, because like even for my winter breaks, a lot of times when people are most available for like podcasting and everything is during winter break time. And and so I spent like winter breaks 2020 and 2021 like doing all this nonstop recording and everything. And one of my goals for 2022 was just, it's like everything's recorded by November 1st. It's just like I'm not doing any recordings during winter break. I'm gonna be there relaxing by myself. And I think I ended up most of the time even doing like preliminary planning, but it's still one of those things where it's still a break, but you're never really fully turned off. Like you're still working.
Life never stops. You still have things to do. You still have obligations, whether that's family time or, brainstorming podcast ideas or coming up with questions to ask your future interviewees. You're never fully turned off. You're never fully away from things you got to do, but it's still good to take that time for yourself. And sometimes you have to be a little more strict with yourself and say, no, I'm really not going to do anything because I need this break. And other times it's okay to, check the emails and, get on a call every so often if you had to.
Absolutely. And that's also a really good tip to prevent burnout as well.
It is sometimes you just got to say no and put your phone away and say, I'm sorry, I'm done for the day. I like to call it my office hours. I said that in my episode. It's where I only work from for me personally, it's 9 o'clock to like 5 or 6, depending on the day. And that's just, after that, I'm like, you're out of luck. If you really, really need me, if it is an emergency, you will find a way to get in touch with me. That's what I always say. And I mean, it helps keep me sane when I'm getting super busy and, just everything is going at 100 miles an hour. Sometimes just having those office hours or being able to put my phone away on the weekends and say, I'm not doing anything this weekend, or I'm not doing anything over spring break, does wonders, literally wonders.
Yeah, that absolutely just helps so much, and so many different aspects too, for both us personally, for work-life balance, and then even for people to, I guess, not expect us to sort of answer to everything. And of course, we know emergencies happen, but I love what you said though, and the reference of if someone really needs you, they're going to find a way to reach you. Like that's definitely one of my beliefs too. It's just that it's like I'm for the most part pretty available, but it's just like at the same and I'm have a very flexible schedule, but at the same time though, like I'm not going to answer everything like right when you send it. Like if
No, 100%. Just that's kind of a thing with this day and age, is like having to answer immediately. But sometimes you're just not going to. But if they need to get in touch with you, they'll find the way. They'll call you. They'll look up your Facebook from when you were 13 and DM you, hoping that you have that access to that still. They'll figure it out. They'll exhaust all their resources if they have to. So.
Yeah, that is quite true. And so like I said though, Taylor. This has been such an amazing conversation, and it's been so interesting speaking with you and getting to know you through this. And I still know that there's so much to talk about. And so if you're ever interested in being back on to continue this conversation, I would love to have you on because I know there's just so much we can speak about here.
No, I completely agree. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just beyond thrilled. This has been so fun, and I would love to get to know you more and talk with you more. This has just been so great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and we definitely should make this happen. And so yeah, like I said, this has just been such a fun experience. And I mean, it's one of the joys of podcasting. And who says that you can't enjoy this even as an introvert?
Exactly. You were so right. You can enjoy even things that seem like an extrovert's hobby as an introvert. And I mean, it's just been so fun to like podcast and, just try new things, get to know new people, and, have experiences like this where I'm getting interviewed for somebody else's podcast. That is so awesome to me. And I cannot express to you enough how thankful I am and how thrilled I was to get your email.
Oh, thank you so much.
This has been so fun.
Likewise. Yeah. And so once again, are you able to remind everyone where they can tune in to Nothing But Everything?
So Nothing But Everything streams on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon Music, Pandora, I think, pretty much everywhere. But if you want a quick, easy access to Nothing But Everything, you can go to my Instagram, and it's linked in my bio. My Instagram is at TACGIRL. That's Tack Girl. That's how I say it. And you can just find my socials there, all of my podcast episodes, just everything you might need to listen to Nothing But Everything is right there. And yeah, just Spotify and Apple Music are the main ones, of course, but I'm on all sorts of platforms, even the ones that nobody's heard of.
I absolutely love that. I personally listen on Amazon Music, so it's like one of the benefits of having all of these platforms is that you really get to pick and choose which ones you you go through.
Yes, those are the big three is what I call them, is Amazon Music, Apple Music, and Spotify. I would say Google has been getting up there. At least I've been introduced to a lot more people who are using Google Play as their podcast streaming platform. But those are the three big ones, and I'm on all of those platforms and more. So yeah, you can find links in my bio, or you can search Nothing But Everything by Taylor Ann Carpenter, and it'll come up.
Well, that is great to hear. But before I let you go, I did have a final question for you here today, and that is, for anyone who is watching or listening and may be inspired by what you said, what would you say to all of them, or perhaps instead, if you'd like to do an inspirational quote, just a thought for the audience, or whatever the case you'd like to say, the floor is all yours.
I guess the thing that that's been on my heart that I've been really thinking about a lot lately is just, achieving great things isn't a certain, standard. It's not being famous. It's not having the most money. But for me, and I think for most people, it should be about the impact you have in your social group, in your work life, and on your own self. Just, success isn't measured by how much money you have or how many people recognize you or whatever. It's doing things you love. It's helping people. It's caring for one another and caring for yourself. It's doing what you love, not pleasing other people. It's not, success isn't a one size fits all either. And that's that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've just seen so many people say, "Oh, I'm not successful," or getting discouraged because they didn't get the internship at this really prestigious, PR firm or whatever. Success isn't measured like that, and you'll find your way. You'll be successful. It's not a one size fits all, and there's no clear cut path for a successful person.
That is completely true. Yeah. And like I said, Taylor, I just so enjoyed this conversation, and I look forward to hopefully having a chance to speak with you again here in the future.
Brandon, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. I cannot wait for this episode to come out, and you need to send me those introvert podcast episodes that you were talking about. I would love to listen to those specific ones.
Absolutely. I will be sure to send that to you right after we finish here. But
Right.
until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day, and let's make things happen. I'll see y'all later. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Are you interested in having your own podcast station? Well, be sure to check out our sponsor, Podpage, for all of your podcasting needs to help promote your podcasting journey. If you're interested in checking out some of our productive multitasking merch or would like to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch at merch.tanssonmedia.com. Thank you so much for all your support.